Hey Management 3401, welcome to your Thursday class. Now that we've gotten the quiz over with on Tuesday, we can jump back into the textbook and start talking about chapter 4, which is concerned with the global environment. So this chapter is different from the previous chapters we've covered, the chapters that were on the quiz, because the previous chapters were more so concerned about what was happening inside of the firm. So we were concerned with the employees' values and attitudes and diversity within the firm and ethical orientation within the firm. But today we're concerned with what's happening outside of the firm. So changes and trends in the global environment that might impact the way we behave and our choices within the firm. So when we're talking about the global environment, we are breaking it up into two pieces. So within the global environment, there's the task environment and there's the general environment. So the task environment is specifically the entities surrounding the focal organization, the organization that we work for. And so the other organizations and individuals around our organization, directly around our organization, include other competitors, suppliers, our distributors, and our buyers. And then outside of the task environment, we have the general environment. And so that not only impacts us, but the general environment impacts those other entities within the task environment. And so within the general environment, we typically divide that up into 5 segments, and we're looking at trends within each of these segments. So what are some demographic trends that we need to pay attention to, right? So one of them is the growing number of ethnic minorities in America. Or what are some sociocultural trends within the general environment that we should pay attention to? Well, one trend that a fitness company might be paying attention to is the fact that there's a growing number of U.S. citizens who are becoming more invested in their fitness. So we're looking at trends in each of these segments and considering how these trends might impact us. As you go through the PowerPoint, you're going to see all of the elements within the task environment, and then you'll see the factors that may empower each of these forces within the task environment. So in some cases, our buyers might be powerful, but there are some elements that may disempower our buyers, or there's some characteristics that make suppliers more powerful than average. And then alternatively, sometimes suppliers are not powerful. And so you'll see as you go through the PowerPoint all of these different characteristics that would impact the extent to which each of these forces in the task environment are actually powerful, such that they can influence what we as the firm, as the focal organization, can and cannot do, particularly when we're talking about being able to set prices and achieve profitability. And so if we have very powerful suppliers, very powerful customers, then they might put a ceiling on how much we can charge. And so in some respects, we are cautious when these other entities within our task environment are powerful, because that means essentially they might be able to tell us what to do. And then of course within the general environment, there will be innumerable trends in each of the 5 segments, and not all of these trends will be relevant to us, but The point of identifying what's going on in the general environment is that we are subject to the same forces, the same global changes and shifts that each of our suppliers and customers are all subject to as well. And so we're all having to change and respond to this shift collectively. So for instance, a shift in the global environment is one we're living through right now, which is a pandemic, right? So this shift in the global environment impacts everyone involved, not just the focal firm. So for your next steps for today's class, I want you to look up examples of trends in the global environment or trends in the task environment that impact the organization. So you'll be split into two groups. You'll do one or the other. So when I'm talking about trends in the global environment, like I said, one example is the pandemic, but it doesn't have to be that major, right? This pandemic is unprecedented. When we're talking about shifts in the global environment, it could be a change in interest rates. Or it could be, like I said, change in demographics. So whatever shift is happening in the larger global environment, I want you to find an example of that in the media. And then if you fall into the second group, then I want you to look up examples of entities in the task environment. So we know that includes suppliers, distributors, buyers, and decisions that they've made. And then think about how this impacts the organizations in the task environment. So in the PowerPoint, I give you an example of Walmart making specific demands for all of its suppliers. And so that's an example of a company in the task environment making a decision, changing something, and then it having a ripple effect on the other entities within that task environment. So I want you to find other examples, and there are plenty. And so when you find those examples, you'll fill them in on the forum in Moodle, and then make sure you keep your link to the article so we can reference it. All right, that is it for this week. Just wanted to do a quick video, and have a good weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday.